everyone. This is Shelia Butler with Successful Women Talk. I want to say thank you for joining me today. I am here with Cachet Prescott from Virtual Cachet, and she is a VA, has a VA company, founder and CEO of that company. We're going to talk with her a little bit about how she started that company and how she can help entrepreneurs and like yourself, or maybe if you're thinking of starting a business yourself, this might be something you want to look into. So help me in welcoming Cachet.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I am doing well, thank you.
Thank you for joining me. And I just need to, I've already told you, so I need to let everybody else know. I am a little bit under the weather. Actually, I'm feeling much better. I thought I was going to die over the weekend, and I lived, and I've lived to do yet another interview chat with someone.
Exactly.
So I didn't want to postpone it anymore, and so here we are today. So please bear with me if I sniffle, cough, sneeze. I'll try and keep it all to a minimum, but you know, we're just keeping it real. So what happens, happens, but I'm going to try my hardest. So again, thanks for joining me. And listen, why don't you, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in business.
Okay. Well, I would be lying if I said that I even thought about the entrepreneurial path a few years ago. My background is in the social sciences. My degrees are in sociology and industrial organizational psych, which is psychology of the workplace. At the time, I thought I was going to be a full tenure track professor in sociology. Nothing to do with the virtual assistance world. But I was in a PhD program, and 2 years into the program, I just kind of figured that that just wasn't the path for me. And I ended up meeting my husband while I was in graduate school, and he is an officer in the Air Force. So we ended up moving away from Georgia, where we were in school at, and here it is 6 years later, and we are on our third move, which we just made 2 months ago. And that is kind of where my story starts, with creating my own career opportunity. As a military spouse, oftentimes we get sent to places that just don't have the greatest career opportunities. And also, if there are opportunities, a lot of the employers aren't really willing to hire military spouses because they think, you know, well, I don't know how long you're going to be here. The one thing they don't take into consideration is the fact that, you know, in this day and age, people don't really stay in positions more than 2 or 3 years anyway, regardless of if they're military or not. And also, the military career pool or applicant pool is a really great untapped resource for these places, because there are a lot of highly qualified spouses, and they bring a wealth of knowledge to the field. They bring their life experiences, diversity, loyalty, and things of that nature, and things that just aren't considered. But for me, you know, I found myself having to find a job every time we move, which is a pain. And it also kind of looks bad on a resume when, you know, every time you turn around, you have to have a new job. So I just kind of did a kind of self-assessment, and it's just like, you know what? I am the captain of my own destiny, and I need to figure out what it is that I'm going to do. So I just wanted to take the reins of my own career. So I thought about the things that I liked doing, and I'm the type of person that will get lost in doing a PowerPoint presentation. I know, kind of strange. I like to do assessing workplace procedures, just to kind of see what processes are working, what's not working, how do we streamline processes. I'm interested in leadership and just kind of helping employees to do better. So this all pointed to human resources. And I became familiar with the virtual assistance world about 3 years ago. And since then, I made the decision that, you know, since I really love HR, and the virtual assistance world is something that, you know, I could create a portable career opportunity with. And it was something that would make me happy and kind of fulfill me in the workplace. And it just is something that I just would have enjoyed all around, that was the best option for me. So my niche is human resources. And that's what I specialize in, but I definitely do general support for small business owners, HR professionals, trainers, recruiters, coaches, or consultants. And I also assist small businesses with just their HR needs as well as administrative needs. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell.
I love that. And so many neat things that we could go off on there. First of all, I want to thank you and your husband for your service.
Thank you.
And wow, what an interesting thing for you. And I think the most interesting thing you said is it's such an untapped pool of talent. And, you know, I love that, because, you know, it's same thing for this show. There's so many women out there with so many talents doing amazing things, and people just don't know it. And like you said, if you're changing jobs every 2 years, it really does look kind of bad on a resume, because I know that's something as a business owner that I always look at. And I guess that's something maybe we need to take into consideration and think about. So I love that you took control of that and said, "Hey, I'm gonna create my own destiny." Yeah. How hard was that for you to do? I mean, were your parents entrepreneurs, or is this something that you just said, "I can do this"?
This was something that I had no experience in at all, and I just kind of jumped in blindsidedly. I definitely will be addressing in the future years the things that I did wrong. There were a lot of things that I did or should have looked into, but I was kind of overzealous at the time. But it did help that I did have a few friends of mine that were all also military spouses that were doing the same thing. So I kind of networked with them, utilized my resources, and that was one thing that really helped me, the networking. I became a member of IVA, which is the International Virtual Assistants Association. I also networked with my fellow military spouses, and that's kind of how the path was kind of created for me. Just my volunteerism with those organizations and just kind of networking and asking people, and that's how I was able to get clients and have people refer people to me. But yeah, it was definitely something, uncharted territory for me.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to hop back just a second. You said there are some things that you wish you would have done differently. What's one of the major things that you did wrong, or maybe that you would do differently today if you were starting over?
First and foremost, I would have created my business plan before I jumped into things. That was something that I just kind of kept putting to the side because at the time that I made the decision that I was going to become a virtual assistant, there was a client that was willing and able and ready. And so I just kind of jumped into it. But I didn't consider the things of, potentially what my niche would be. I didn't consider who my target audience was, because had I even considered that person wouldn't have fit in there. And, I just jumped in blindsidedly. I got the things that I needed to get, like my EIN number and things of that nature, but I really did not do my due diligence by not doing that business plan and just really assessing the situation before I jumped into it.
So really just trying to narrow down your market to see what your target audience was going to be.
Definitely.
Based on probably, like you said, based on your skill sets.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so you specialize in HR, and I know as a business owner, HR is just kind of a bit a pain, right?
Absolutely.
So it's good that someone really enjoys it. So how do you find your clients now? Because you said you've narrowed that down. How do you find people that are specifically looking for HR needs? And then how do you convince them that it's easier for you to do those things than for them to do it themselves?
Got it. Well, first and foremost, I always have to kind of make the distinction between a VA that specializes in HR and an HR consultant, because a lot of people tend to think that I'm an HR consultant, and that's not what I am. An HR consultant is somebody that really just kind of comes in and creates the strategy, the HR strategy for a company. They come in for a specific issue that the company may be having, whether it's something organizationally related, or they just come in and kind of do the overall picture. They come in, address that situation, give their feedback to the company, and then their services usually aren't any longer needed. Me personally, I just handle the administrative side of HR, whether that be, for example, recruitment. There's so many little details that go into recruitment, as I'm sure you know. But it goes from creating an effective job description, really assessing your needs, posting the job description, calling people for interviews, to scheduling those interviews. Those are the things that I would take care of for that person, so they don't have to get caught up in that minutia. And I kind of paint this picture for a potential client, just saying, hey, this is what I can do for you, so you can focus on the bigger picture. And, that sounds great to somebody that really wants to focus on the things that, the bigger things in their company. And because, oftentimes they're not really concerned with HR, and it's something that they don't want to do. It's just kind of a necessary evil for them.
Exactly. That makes sense, because it's needed, right? It's all the things that you need to do, but they're not the most fun things to do. So,
not at all.
Yeah, but really, really important just not fun. And
Definitely.
the hard part that I found, I've had a VA once in the past, was handing things off to the VA. Being, you know, that's a tough thing for an entrepreneur, solopreneur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Delegation, and this is something, I'm also a trainer, and this is something that I talk to in my leadership trainings. I have a specific area I talk about the whole topic of delegation. Me personally, before, years ago, I was not an effective delegator. But I also realized that in not delegating, I was putting more on my plate than necessary. That was taking me away from things that I could have been taking care of when you do have an able-bodied person that is willing and able to do this. But also, you know, when you delegate, you have to trust that that person is able to do that thing, and you have to trust that that person will work with integrity. So there is a relationship building aspect of this. But it is extremely beneficial, and it also shows your employees or whomever you're working with that, hey, I trust you, and it really creates a good relationship dynamic within the workplace when you do effectively delegate to a person.
I agree. When someone is thinking about hiring a VA, what are some of the things that they should think about, and how do you find a good VA versus, I guess maybe some of it's work, but you know, what are some tips that you would give someone when they're looking for a VA?
Definitely research. If you do know anybody that has utilized a VA, you can definitely word of mouth. That is an extremely great thing. But if you're not familiar with it, I would go to like the IVA webpage. It's IVAA.org. Okay. They have a directory in which you can kind of go through and see if you, and they have VAs for any need, if it's just general needs or HR or social media, or if you need a virtual business manager, you know, all kinds of needs. They have people that you can go through. You can also make sure that you, if you contact a VA, ask for their references. Ask for people that they've worked with in the past, and see, you know, what those people have said about them. Because, you know, if you're going to the website, you may not, they of course will say that, hey, I can do these great things for you, but unless you have somebody that can kind of verify that information for you, then you just may not want to really deal with that. But I would definitely ask for references. But IVA is a really good place to start with if you want to try to find a VA for your particular needs.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I know that people have some concerns about security, right? So you've got
Absolutely.
Passwords and all of those things, especially maybe related to HR type responsibilities.
Yeah.
So, you know, how do you handle security type issues with when you're dealing with a client?
Well, I try to make sure that the client is aware that on my end, I definitely take all the security measures as much as I possibly can. But if we need to create, you know, certain accounts, or it depends on what their needs are. But you really and truly, you know, we signed the agreement, and I'm giving you my word that I will take care of your information. I'm giving you my word that I will not, you know, divulge your information. And there's just a certain level of trust that has to be given, because unfortunately, you know, we are not working within the same office space. We don't see each other on a day-to-day basis. But the business owner does have to be open to the fact that if you want me to be able to do an effective job, I do need access to this information. And, you know, I definitely use as much security on my end as possible, because, you know, in dealing with this type of sensitive information, there are repercussions. Sure. If it does happen to get out. And, you know, I don't want anybody coming and taking my house. So.
Well, let me ask you this. So let's jump over real quickly to you did this. You started this business as a lifestyle business for you because it fit best with you. Definitely. How is that going now? And how does that change as you move? Because I know you guys move every maybe 2 to 4 years. So how's that with your business? Is it pretty seamless, or what have you found?
It has been seamless thus far. This is my first move that I've had with the business in place. And it has been seamless because of the fact that it is a virtual business. And despite the fact that, you know, I may be on the road, I can check in with clients you know, with my laptop, respond to emails on my phone, so it's not a big deal. And, you know, when I do need to take time off, or when I do need to take time to handle anything related to a move, you know, I give my clients well advanced notice so that they can plan accordingly also. So it's been great. And now that I'm here, we're in New Mexico now, you know, I'm also trying to kind of reach out to the local community. So the only thing that would change with that is, you know, just when I do move, I won't necessarily be here face to face with these people, but because it is virtual and that is the understanding, you know, I can carry that business along with me.
I love that. And I think that the great point with that is that, you know, a few years ago, even just a few years ago, a lot of people thought that you really had to be in an office to work well, right? Well, you don't nowadays. And you know, we didn't mention this, but you're also a mompreneur. You have an 18-month-old. You have 2 kiddos?
Yes, I have a soon-to-be 5-year-old and an 18-month-old.
Yeah, so see, she's busy. She's a busy mama and a busy business owner and a military wife. So she can do this. There's so many things that women can do if they just don't know about it. And I love that you have a business that's very successful, and you're doing that around all of your other responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And on your own terms.
Exactly. And that is the one thing that I love about it. It's on my terms. So.
On your terms. Let me ask you, if you were going to give someone some advice, maybe a lady in your shoes that's thinking about starting a business, maybe not specifically in the VA business, but whatever that might be, what advice would you give that lady?
I would definitely say, first and foremost, do your research. Whatever business it is that you're thinking about going into, do the research as to what the need is for that. You know, where would you fit into that particular industry or that niche or whatever it is that you're trying to do? Is there a real need for it? How can you offer something different that hasn't been offered? What different spin can you put on it? Definitely go to the Small Business Association, the SBA.gov website, and utilize their resources. If there's a SCORE in your area, SCORE, their organization, talk to the mentors, talk to people that have already done it, you know, kind of see what they've done, what their mistakes have been, so you can try to possibly avoid those mistakes. Definitely talk to other entrepreneurs and just kind of get an idea as to what the process entails. Just have all your ducks in a row and write that business plan beforehand. Even if you're not doing it where you need to try to get a small business loan, definitely just have it so that it's something that you can just kind of come back to, and things will change in your business plan from the moment you write it to even a year from now. Things will definitely change, and you can go back and just do edits to it, but at least it's your roadmap and it gives you direction in the process.
I agree. I love that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to solve a puzzle, but you need a clear picture of what that puzzle is to get there, right? Well,
Absolutely.
If someone wanted to connect with you, where would be the best place to send them?
It would be the website. It is virtualcachet.com. All of my contact information is there, and I do have a contact us form sheet, and you can absolutely contact me there. And social media. I'm on Facebook on Virtual Cachet, on Twitter at Virtual Cachet, on Pinterest and LinkedIn. So I'm everywhere.
I'm everywhere. Let me ask you this. What role has social media played in your business?
Oh my goodness, it has been absolutely amazing. As a matter of fact, that's how you and I met.
That's right.
On Twitter. But it really is a good way to connect with other people that are in the VA industry, just to kind of, you know, be able to talk to other people that are doing what you do, and to connect with potential clients. You know, I go on there and I do searches for people that I might have in my target market. So if it's a recruiter or a consultant or a trainer, like, hey, you know, I go on there, follow them, see what they're talking about, see who they're following, and it has been amazing. You know, with Pinterest, I put stuff on there related to anything that I do for Virtual Cachet. So if I see something cool related to training, I put it up there, I pin it on there. And, you know, you wouldn't think that, you know, people would even care about that kind of stuff on Pinterest, but people really do. And on Facebook isn't necessarily the one place where I would find any clients, but still, you know, it's still exposure and trying to connect with people that are in the same industry as me. So
I love that. And again, I think not the most important thing, but a very valuable thing that you've pointed out today is that you have to niche up, right? I mean, you have to know what your niche is. You have to know your target market. Because it's very easy to go, well, I'm a VA and I do a little bit of everything. Or I'm a children's line and I provide a little bit of everything. And you can't meet all of those needs. And
not at all.
You've got to narrow it down, I think, to grow your business.
And that's what people had told me from the start. You know, I was one of those people that were green behind the ears, and I was just like, oh, I can do it all. And yeah, they kept saying, you know, when you do determine your niche, that is going to bring in more business for you. And I was like, well, how is narrowing it down going to bring in more people? But that is the God's honest truth. Definitely so.
It really is. It's just such a hard concept to wrap your brain around.
It really is.
Cachet, this has been terrific. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you putting up with not only my southern accent, but one that's a little bit nasal because of my cold today.
No problem. I thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that's our show, and thanks again for tuning in. Hey, I have a huge favor. I'd like for you to join us over at www.successfulwomentalk.com. Join our email list, and on that list, you'll be a VIP. You'll be receiving all of our newest updates, newest interviews, our newsletter, and any tips and tricks we have for organizing your business and getting raving fans and customers that actually just sing your praises. So again, thanks again for tuning in. Check us out next week for another episode of SuccessfulWomenTalk.com. Thanks, guys.